Today we are going to continue building the case that Trump is the beast of Revelation. We are going to examine a particular verse that many like to attribute to the Pope or Catholic Church, which very likely could be one layer of fulfillment, but I would like to offer another view, so stay tuned. So we are going to dig into Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, particularly the middle of this verse here. And so I'm going to read this verse 25, and then we'll dig into it. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half time. So the part that I really want to dig into and make the case that Trump had tried to do this is this right here, and shall intend to change times and laws. So I want to look at all the different translations. You can kind of get an idea of them here on your screen. This is just Bible Gateway. But there's the reason why I want to do this is because some of them translate it as, like for instance, he will intend. So I want to key off of that. He's going to try. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but to change religious festivals and laws. And then up here, of sacred feasts and holy days. But I'm going to make the case that those aren't the types of times and laws that and down here it even says God's festivals. I'm going to make the case that that's not the case, essentially. And I'm going to make the case that Trump did exactly what this is proclaiming. So if we go into Blue Letter Bible, we're able to go to that same verse, Daniel 7:25, and look at the Hebrew interlinear. And so what we're looking at is the middle verse here, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand. So to think, I want to make sure that's what that's supposed to be translated as. So we're going to open that word up, and we're going to see that literally it means to think or intend, to bear in mind, to hope. So it doesn't mean that he will, that this beast character that Daniel is talking about will be able to accomplish this. And then let's just look at change. So see what change means. To alter or be changed. So the beast or little horn is going to try to change or alter times and laws. So we're going back, and let's see what time says. It says ziminin. And if we look at that word here, it says Zimon, a set time or season. So we're looking here, translation is either time or season, basically season or time. And so if we go back, we're going to also look at laws, look at that word, which just says decree or law, a decree, law. Of a king, but it also gives an example of God, which so the simple definition here is decree or law. Let's see here. Let's look at this here corresponding. Also, again, law, decree, commandment. It's just an edict or a regulation or a rule. And so I want to make the case here. So we're going to go and prove that there is a difference between what the laws and times that were being spoken of in Daniel, that there's a difference than the ones that are holy, and that this isn't necessarily trying to change the feasts or festivals or appointed times of Yah, but of man or the world. So if we see here, holy convocation is a mikra, and the feast is a moed or moedim, down here moedim. and seasons and feasts. So this is the same H4150, H4150. If we click on this one here, you can see here that this is the feast season, appointed time, assembly. These are the appointed times of Yah. And so there is a difference. It's talking about the Moed versus in Daniel, it's talking about the Zemanin. And the laws is Vadat. So if we look at the laws, we go to, for instance, Psalm 19, which is the largest chapter in the Bible, which talks about the Torah, or the law. It says, in the law of Yahweh, it says B'Torat. And so if we look at this particular word here, it's the law, direction, or instruction, the law, the Deuteronomic or Mosaic law. So this is Torah. This is Yah's law. So just kind of recapping here, it says that he shall intend or think to change times and law. And so this is a generic way of translating this, which is the way I would agree with it. And you know, there's ways that other translations have made it seem like it's talking about the religious festivals and God's law or God's festivals or feasts. And so now that I've kind of established that I believe that this is not talking about the laws and feasts of Yah, that I want to go ahead and show you how Trump fulfilled this. So remember, we're talking about how this beast person that Daniel talks about intended to, or thought to, or hoped to do these things. It doesn't say that it actually occurs or happens. It's just that he thought to. So in that way, I was just simply looking for the best example of how to change time, how Trump would try to change times. And so what he's the only president in recent history that came out in support of changing how our time works with daylight savings time. And so we got to think spiritually about this. Just kind of Googling this, I saw here these quick articles, which we'll go ahead and thumb through real quick. That basically shows that Trump is cool with making daylight savings time permanent. And so he says, making daylight savings time permanent is okay with me, he tweets. And Trump to America, let's make daylight savings time permanent. So there is an example here that Trump wanted to change time. It didn't happen. He only intended to, or he thought to, or hoped to do this. And this is just one example here. And so we should think spiritually about this. This is an example of how he tried to or thought to change time. Now, moving on, just to kind of show you that when I searched the same thing but with Obama, there is no record of him trying to or supporting this idea. Here's one that says someone's trying to get him to do it, but there's no example of this. And let's go up into the news. Let's just double check. Nothing. Okay. Same with Biden. There was nothing here predicting or trying where Biden tried or supported this. Okay, so you see where I'm going here. So I just want to add in here real quick something that I just realized was that this bill was introduced after Trump left office and passed the Senate to actually change the daylight savings time and make it permanent. And so right now it still has to pass the House of Representatives. And I went and looked it up right here. And right now, though it has passed Senate, it is being held at the desk of the House, and which is very interesting that it's been there 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. It's been sitting there. So it would be very interesting that maybe this is being held for when Trump returns, that he would be the one that signs off on changing this, on changing the time in America. Just something to think about going here. So if the next logical thing is how did he try to change laws? A lot of ways. So here's an example where he was absolutely insane with his executive orders. He did tons of them throughout his tenure as president. And there's just a couple little things I want to point out. Trump's claim hinges on the slew of executive orders he has signed, which in his first 100 days exceeded that of any other recent president. So he definitely intended to change laws. I mean, these executive orders have very little bearing. They don't really change anything. But continuing on, he says Trump pledges to cut regulations down to 1960 levels, but that may be impossible. Again, he tried and intended or thought to, but I'm going to show you here that he pretty much failed. So there was this article that I found that says, "Was Trump a deregulator?" And this was written. This is very recent after he had left office, and just a few things that I highlighted here I want to show. And it says, during Trump's 4 years, there had been some unique reversals, such as a slowdown in the issuing of new rules and some rollbacks of existing ones. At the same time, many of Trump's actions imposed rather than decreased burdens, including trade interventions like tariffs, anti-dumping, and Buy American agendas, and domestic regulatory interventions. So at the same time that he might have rolled back or slowed down introducing new regulation, these types of other things that he was imposing also either replaced the ones that he might have removed or increased them. So what was the net effect of Trump's administration on federal regulation? His supporters claim that he deregulated, even if most of his administration's actions were administrative and were rapidly canceled by his successor, Joe Biden. But moving down here, there's this chart where they kind of show during this little bar here is his presidency, where there's kind of a plateau for both restrictions and total pages of regulation. There's a plateau. So he didn't ever really change anything. He just didn't add more per se. And it says here in these highlights, according to both series, then the net new effect of new regulations, including deregulatory rules, minus abrogated or simplified ones of the Trump administration, has not been deregulation, but at best a plateau in the upward historical trend. These data don't include what Cruz calls regulatory dark matter. That is, instead of formal rules, administrative documents such as executive orders and memoranda, and from different government agencies, guidance documents, bulletins, and circulars. So this is only including some data. It doesn't include all of it, but the conclusion remains that Trump administration presided over a plateau in growth of formal federal regulation, not deregulation. So the main idea that I want to show here is that essentially he intended to change things that we consider times and laws, but it didn't actually happen. So I want to quickly add in this addition in regards to changing of laws, because this happened during the creation of this video, where a Republican president, someone that claimed to be a supporter of the Second Amendment, had during his presidency did a gun regulation law, had technically passed Well, I wouldn't even say it was a law necessarily. It was just a regulation from the ATF, but something that occurred during his presidency has just been struck down by the Supreme Court. So while he intended to change some sort of law or was, a part of it, in his administration, this even was overturned. So this is a quick example of him intending to change laws, but it's not working in the end. Actually happened. So you may think that this is, just kind of grasping at straws, but we have to think here that things may not be the way we picture them, the way we want them to turn out, or the way we consider how prophecy is supposed to unfold. So I hope this made sense. Please check out my other videos, and as always, make sure you're not following man. Make sure you are putting all your faith, love, and hope in Yahweh the Almighty. Thanks.
This is Jeremiah 23, verse 4. I will place shepherds over them who will tend them, and they will no longer be afraid or terrified, nor will any be missing, declares the Lord. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up David, a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely and do what is just and right in the land. When I read that, I knew he was speaking prophetically of Donald Trump. He's saying, I am going to put Donald Trump back in. No matter how many rise against him, no matter how many false indictments are put against him, no matter how much opposition, if I am for him, who or what could be against him? Right. I've called him, I've chosen him. He is a righteous man. He's a man with a heart after my heart. He's gone through trial after trial after trial. And has not turned his back on me. Is God going to be faithful to him? You bet.